Hey guys, it's Michelle from Cozyegg, and I thought I would try something a little bit different. Um, I am obviously still working on Mystery 9, and I am working on the last corner. So I've held off on doing a video because I kind of thought, well, I kept hoping I would get this sucker done and then, do a big video showing it off, but that has yet to materialize. So I just thought it might be fun for me. I don't know if it's going to be fun for you, but I thought it would be fun for me to do or attempt to do a Stitch With Me video. I have a very awkward setup here, but we'll see if this works. If it does work, then I may try to do something more permanent in the future. So here's where I'm at. I am, like I said, I'm working on the last corner. This is the bottom left-hand corner. And I have no idea what this looked like the last time I showed it on a video, because I think my last video was like 3 weeks ago. But I have done this pool here, this pool up here. I have done, and of course the corner pool here. Let's see if I can get that in there. So I've done all three of the pools. They're completely done except for the beading. I just decided I'm just going to leave the beading off and just do all of it together at one time. I've done all these little swirls that are right next to the pools, and I've done this green hedge. The spaces in here are for Algerian islets. So I'm going to come back and do those. So right now I've started on the espalier trees. So I just thought I would, stitch on those a little bit, visit with you a little bit, and I thought I would also see if I can multitask and do Emily C's tag from her last, or I think her last Stitch With Me video. So let's get to it. And today is Friday, June 22nd, 2018, by the way. And it is around 6 o'clock-ish. Or it could be 7 o'clock-ish if this whole finagling took me an hour, but anyway. So, the first question is, what is your favorite cereal? So, here's the thing with me and cereal, because you know that this is me and I can't just give you a straight answer. I have to give you the long, epic answer. So, I love cereal. Like, I love cereal a lot, to the point that I cannot have it in the house. Because the way that I like to eat my cereal is I like to pour a whole bowl of milk, like fill it really full of milk, and then I pour in just enough cereal that it really won't get soggy while I'm eating it. And then I proceed to continue to fill the bowl up with cereal until all the milk's gone, which really probably constitutes me eating like 6 bowls of cereal or something at a time. So yeah, I cannot have cereal in the house. But I think what the cereal that I used to eat a lot that I really kind of loved was some sort of I don't even remember the name of it now, but it was some sort of, kind of granola nut cluster kind of, something. Grape nuts or I don't know. Because I really liked the crunchiness of the granola and the nuts and yeah. But I wouldn't say no to, a big bowl of Captain Crunch either. So there's that. What are your favorite pizza toppings? I love pizza. This is going to be like the whole theme of this uh, questionnaire. I pretty much love everything and can't get enough of it and can't choose and tell you what my favorite is. Um, so, pizza. I love pizza. Probably my favorite kind of pizza is a margarita um, that has fresh tomatoes and basil and fresh mozzarella on it. I cannot get enough of that. Um, I really sort of fell in love with it when we were on our honeymoon in Rome. And, the pizza in Rome is very different from the pizza that you get here. It's very, very thin crust. It's almost like a cracker crust. It's so thin. And, they have these sort of special pizza size plates because, everybody gets their own pizza. Um, but they have these, plates that they would serve the pizza on that was larger than a dinner size, a dinner plate. Um, and I have sort of, like when we got home and over the years, I've sort of looked for pizza plates like that and have yet to be able to find something that's similar. But we ate pizza a lot while we were in Rome, and honestly, it's just so good. Um, so that's probably my favorite. I do like pepperoni. I do like plain cheese. I do like sausage, but margarita pizza is pretty much my favorite. Um, let's see. You're on death row. What is your last meal? Could I say pizza? Hmm. I could say like pizza and gelato. But I don't know. My last meal. I really love um like when I think about what I want, that is like quote unquote fancy food. Um that typically, equates into like steak and like a really good steak and asparagus. Because I love asparagus and it's hard to get good asparagus, I feel sometimes. Um, but I would be, like I said, I would be quite content with pizza and some gelato, maybe a, caprese salad, maybe a little Caesar salad to go with that. That would make me happy. Um, we also, there's a Greek restaurant that we go to often for, my birthday, or sometimes we go like for our anniversary. That is, and I usually get like gyros with some, they make these amazing roasted potatoes and we always get a caprese salad beforehand, and they put, they drizzle the balsamic vinegar over it, but it has this just amazing flavor to it. And for years I've been saying to Eric, I cannot figure out what makes this taste so super good. And the last time we went, I figured it out. It has like mint in it. Like somehow or another in their balsamic vinaigrette, they are incorporating mint into it. And holy cow, it tastes amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, yes, this is my messy back. I need to tie this off. And yes, I am still stitching on a Q-snap that is only held on two sides. And I'm trying to do all this one-handed. So, no haters. Anyway, so yeah, maybe a lovely Greek dinner, maybe a lovely Italian dinner, maybe steak and asparagus. And if I'm on death row, I don't know, I probably wouldn't be able to eat, but because I would be so distraught, I'm guessing. But yeah. Okay, so it's laundry day. What are your really weird bottom of the drawer underwear? And of course, all I can think of is my friend Robert watching this and going, really? I didn't need to know that, Michelle. So all I'm going to say is, that last pair that is, my last resort, everything else is in the laundry, which really never happens because I've got, more than I know what to do with. But, there's always that one pair that the elastic has totally like blown out on that won't stay up. That's kind of what's at the bottom of the drawer, which is sad, and I should just get rid of them. But yeah, always the just in case. So make sure I'm still kind of in frame. Yeah, it looks like I am. So we'll just move on from that. So sorry, Robert. Who would play you in a movie about your life? It's a hard one. Yeah, that's a hard one because I feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'd have to say, like, not that we look alike or anything, but maybe I'd have to say, well, let me go back. So, remember way back when there was that, tag going around on Instagram, or I think it was just on Instagram, where you had to basically, pick your three celebrities that represented you. And so who did I pick? I picked or your three characters that best represented you or something. Yeah, I think that might have been it. So my three were Vanessa Ives from Penny Dreadful, of course, because that's my dark side. And then my next one that I picked was the character that Kat Dennings plays on Two Broke Girls, because that's my funny, sarcastic side. And then the last one that I picked was Nicole Kidman from Moulin Rouge, because she was, she was sort of, that's sort of my girly, beautiful, yet sort of tragic but romantic side, I guess. And so my first instinct as far as who would play me was Nicole Kidman, more because of her red hair than any resemblance that we bear to each other. But yeah, I mean, I think probably any of those three actresses would probably be a good representation of me and my life story. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with. What food items do you sneak into the movie theater in your purse? So, I used to actually manage a movie theater like a million years ago. And even then, I smuggled food into the theater, which is really probably horrid of me, because I was, getting to see movies for free. I probably should have, plopped down some money, but at least in a concession stand, but I didn't. So I think my big thing, like, I never smuggle in popcorn because, movie theater popcorn, you really just can't really replace that, right? But, okay, I have no place to put that. Drinks you can certainly smuggle in. I mean, I always kind of feel like I can, take in a soda with me without having to pay an arm and a leg for it. And so really, I guess the main thing that I would smuggle in was candy, because you could totally get it cheaper at 7-Eleven. And as far as what kind of candy goes, I really love me some Junior Mints. And I don't know if this is, typical of most movie theaters, but in our theater, we had, for whatever reason, we always stored the big boxes, the cases of Junior Mints right next to the Milk Duds. And they would strangely, like, the Milk Duds would always kind of pick up that minty, like a hint of mint, that somehow, wafted across one case into another somehow. But anyway, I love Milk Duds too. So really, honestly, like if I had to go out right now and pick something to take to the movie theater, it would probably be Twizzlers because I love Twizzlers. So there's that. Um, what is your perfect vacation? So it's funny that this question is on here. Earlier today, I was in a Facebook group and I was reading a post by one of my Young Living leaders. And so she was talking about summer vacations and things like that, and was asking, people what their dream summer vacation would look like, and or summer, just summer would look like. And I think that I said that my dream summer would be to travel, and that wherever I went, that I would have enough time to be there, that I could see and experience all the things that I want to see and experience, and still have time to actually relax. Because when Eric and I travel, it's hardcore. I mean, it's like, okay, we're going to be there X amount of time and I need to see these 5,000 things. So it's like no sleeping in, we go like dusk to, dawn till dusk basically. And it's exhausting. But I always feel like I got to see most everything I wanted to see, which is great. So, I mean, when we go traveling, it's not like a quote unquote vacation, because it's some serious marching, trying to get in to see everything that I want to see, because I don't know if I'm ever going to get the chance to go back there. So, when we went to Rome, I mean, we really filled up our days and saw as much as we could possibly see. And there were still things that we missed, that we just couldn't manage to fit in. And there were things that, because of when we went, unfortunately, we weren't able to see because we were there over Easter weekend. And so things were closed the Monday after Easter, which we were not anticipating being closed, and neither was our tour guide. But anyway, so, but as far as kind of my perfect vacation, well, it would obviously be traveling somewhere. I am not really a beach person. I mean, I enjoy the beach, but I've never really been, kind of one of those people that I just want to go somewhere and lay on a beach for 5 days. When I went to Maui years and years ago, I think I only went to the beach one time, because there were so many other things that I really wanted to see that were not at the beach. So, so I think probably my perfect vacation would be to travel someplace I've never been. And like I said, to be able to be there long enough that I get to see everything I want to see and have the experiences I want to have, but, maybe sleep in a day or two and not feel like I'm, um, gonna keel over from all of that marching. So, okay. Let's see if I can. That went pretty fast, actually, so. Okay, so I think that's in the right spot. We'll see. All right, so I'm not going to give you kind of a perfect, like where that place would be, because it could be, I still really want to go to London. I still really want to go. I'd love to go back to Paris. I really want to go to Egypt and see the pyramids. I really want to go to Scotland. I really want to go to, so there's so many places I want to go that I'm not sure I could narrow it down. Morocco. So, and it was the same thing when I went to Paris and when I went to Germany. That was the same trip, but there were so many things I wanted to see, and I did not get to see all of them. So, yeah. So, okay, so next question is number 8. You're stuck on a deserted island and can have 5 things. What do you have? So I guess obviously I would want to have my boys with me, and that includes Eric. So Eric and my 2 boys. So that leaves me with 2 other things. Well, I think I'd probably need a book, and I would probably need some stitching. And I'm going to go with the assumption that food and water are included. So I think I would have to have a book and some stitching. That's what I'm going to go with. If you could have a reproduction style chart with any theme possible, what would the theme be? So, I really loved Emily's answer. I think she mentioned like a reproduction sampler style of like the 7 deadly sins, which I thought was a really cool idea. I would love to see that. That kind of got my wheels turning. I have some samplers up my sleeve that I am designing. So, and I'm designing what I want, what I would want to stitch. So I'm going to just leave that vague for the moment, but I will just say that I'm very excited about what I'm designing. I will say that I have two that I'm working on that would both be in, that would be Ramsey's. Two that I'm working on that would both be in the Nocturne collection. And then a third one that would be in a different collection. Okay, I think that's 8. So, I'm just going to leave that at that. What is your strangest travel experience? Bonus points if you ever spent time in a foreign jail. Good question. Strangest travel experience. I don't have room for you. When we were in Rome, one of the things that we did while we were there is we went on a bit of a scavenger hunt, I'll say. We were looking for all of the obelisks that are in Rome. For a couple of reasons. So one is that we had both recently read Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, which talks at length about the obelisks, particularly the, Bernini sculptures that are in Rome, and some of those include obelisks. And so there are actually, I don't know if this fact is still true, but at one time it was true. There are more Egyptian obelisks in Rome than there are in Egypt, which is both awesome and tragic, as are a lot of things when it comes to, the people that explore and invade and conquer and take back the spoils of war to their homeland. And, being an art historian, in degree and what I'm interested in, there's a lot of that happens, and it is unfortunately, that's just part of art history. But anyway, so we went on the hunt for all of these obelisks, and some of them are on private property now. And so, unless you climb a fence, you cannot see them. But, we tried to see as many as we could. And so one of the obelisks is out in the let's just say the less reputable part of the city. Um, it was actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually erected for um, one of the Olympic Games. Maybe. I may be mixing up my stories. But anyway, it is the only place that Mussolini's name still exists on that obelisk. So we get on this bus, and Italian buses are, that's a little bit, taking your life in your own hands anyway. But we get on this bus and we go out to this, to the bad part of town. And like literally, there's no one else out there. So we go, we find this obelisk, we, take our photos, and then we are standing there waiting for a bus to come back and pick us up. And this pack of, I'm going to say, wild hooligans sees us. And of course, we're trying to be nonchalant and not look like tourists. And, they came over and harassed us for a little while. And then I guess they decided that Eric looked like enough of an Italian that they weren't going to harass us too bad. But it got a little dicey there for a minute. I was not entirely sure we were going to get out of there because they did not look like the kind of people that you would want to run into when it's dark out. And there was, literally there was no one else out there. I mean, it was like the city was abandoned, or the area of the city was abandoned. It was crazy. Anyway, so we did get our picture of the obelisk, and then that was that. So that's probably one of my strangest travel tales. What are you saving money for right now? There are a lot of things I would like to say we're saving money for, but honestly, with everything that has gone on in the past many years, with jobs and, my parents and my dad dying and my car dying and, all sorts of things like that. There's really no saving money going on whatsoever. It's pretty much all eaten up by the time it comes in with just trying to stay afloat. So okay, well, that was kind of sad. So let's move on. What craft would you like to try or get better at? So I'd really love to get better at knitting. I just so rarely knit that, I don't think I do it often enough to get really good at it. And I'm still, learning. So there's a lot of things that I would love to be able to do excuse me, that I'm not sure that my skill level is really there. Like, I really want to knit lace. I really want to knit socks. But I'm not sure I'm quite there yet. And as far as a craft that you would like to learn, I would really love to learn how to do wool rug hooking. Not like, not what you used to see with, latch hook rugs that you'd buy a kit with some acrylic yarn pieces in it. And, latch hook yourself a rainbow pillow, but like, primitive hooked rugs with the wool strips. I'd really love to learn how to do that. And I actually, sadly, have bought 2 kits to do that. Way a long time ago, I bought a couple of kits at one of the quilt shows here. So I'd really love to learn how to do that. And also, just like wool applique, that would be cool. Like penny rugs and things like that. I'd love to learn how to do that. And I don't really think it's hard. I think it's just, you just have to do it. So, there is a lady that is in my guild that did say that she would be willing to teach me how to do the wool rug hooking. So I may take her up on the offer at some point. Okay. If you had to stitch only 3 designers the rest of your life, who would you choose? It's a hard one. I mean, I couldn't even narrow down pizza. So, or cereal. When I think about the charts that I probably have the most of from specific designers, it's probably more than 3. I'm trying to get this piece of cat hair off of here. So probably Plum Street. Probably obviously Primitive Needle is one of my absolute favorites, but that's there's a limited number of those. I'll say it that way. I have to keep sort of adjusting my camera. Sorry. And hopefully this looks good when I look at it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to dump it and re-record a video. But, so Plum Street, probably Kathy Barrick, and when I say Kathy Barrick, that's Barrick Samplers, Carriage House Samplings, and Kathy Barrick. Her own designs, I'm not a fan of not her designs. I'll say that. Scarlet House, probably. She tends to reproduce some very lovely lovely samplers, as well as she does some very nice original pieces. And yes, I am not going to tie off that thread. I'm just going to skip over here because this is going to have, it's going to have all these little leaves and beads and stuff in here. And so you're really not even going to see that. So I'm going to be lazy and just skip over. I keep trying to kind of look to see if you can see what I'm doing or if I've gotten out of frame. Anyway, so Scarlet House, Shakespeare's Peddler has always been a favorite. And same thing, you know, she does some beautiful original designs as well as some beautiful reproduction samplers. There was a time there that like every new sampler she put out, I had to have. So, and now I think I would also add to that list maybe Hands Across the Sea. I don't own any of those repros yet. But really, I mean, every one of them that has come out is just stunning. They're just absolutely beautiful and very different from each other. So, I don't know. That's probably like 6 people, but probably, I mean, if I had to narrow that down, I would probably say Plum Street, Kathy Barrick, and I'm going to go with Hands Across the Sea. Okay. Dumbest way you have ever been injured. You know, I was going to say, I really don't normally, you know, injure myself. So it is not often that I do something stupid that ends up injuring me. But I will say that approximately 1 million years ago, when I was in junior high, maybe it was high school, I went to a concert with some friends, and it was like a heavy metal band. Maybe like it may have even been like speed metal, if I'm remembering this correctly. And it was, you know, I couldn't even tell you who it was because it clearly did not stick with me much. But I, you know, spent a full evening dancing and whipping my head around, and got up the next morning and I literally could not move my neck. Like I had seriously given myself whiplash from head banging. I'm probably the only person in the world that has ever done that. And now that I think of it, when I went to Glamp Stitch a lot, we had so this is a recent story. We had an 80s party one night, and I basically like danced the entire night. And the next morning, I could barely move. Like, my entire body was so sore. Like, I could barely even breathe because my sides hurt and my back hurt. So, maybe not an injury, but yeah. So, let's see. That was number 14. What is your worst roommate or housemate story? I don't know. I mean, from the point at which I got out of college, I lived by myself. So, I mean, other than being married, I really didn't have a roommate or a housemate. So, that wasn't really an issue. And roommates in college, I don't know, I must have just blocked it out because nothing is coming to mind. I'm sure that there were horrific things that made me like super duper crazy, but I'm drawing a blank. You have unlimited income. What would your dream house look like? Insert picture if possible. So, I think my cat is behind the couch snoring. If you can hear that. So, dream house. Wow. The houses that I tend to be drawn to are, I don't like modern, that sort of sleek modern look. That's just not my thing. I really love houses that look like they have some history to them, that have interesting architectural details. More importantly, probably to me, is the inside. And I will try to insert a couple of pictures here. But I really love, I love color. And so, when I see interiors that have, some really amazing, color schemes, there's this show that we watch called Into the Badlands, and 90% of the reason that I love watching that show is because of the color. Like, the interiors are amazing, the exteriors are amazing, the costumes are amazing. It's so vivid and bright. It's just, oh, I love it. So I really feel like most want my home to have lots of color. And I really love having natural light. Although I would love to have stained glass windows. And, I really love having a home that is full of collected things. That it doesn't look like you went out to, some store and purchased a whole bunch of stuff that matches and brought it home. Like, I really love, things that don't match and things that really look like they were collected from all over the world and all sorts of places over time. That's really what I love. But maybe I can find some pictures of some houses that look interesting that I can share. And I guess if I'm ever going to have my dream home, I really need to get clear about what that is, right? Because I was just telling somebody the other day that if you want to manifest something in your life, reach a goal or whatever, you have to make room for it. And so you have to be really clear about what it is. Otherwise, there's really no space for it. So I better get clear about what my dream home is, right? So let's see. What song would you want played at your funeral or memorial? God, that's a hard one. When I think about the songs that I absolutely love that just really speak to me, it's probably... Am I even in frame anymore? No, you can't even see what I'm doing because I think my camera keeps moving, or I keep moving, or something. Maybe now I'm in the shot. Well, you may not even be looking, but I'm looking. When I think about the songs that just really speak to me, it's songs like Peter Murphy, My Last 2 Weeks, or Sinead O'Connor, Stretched on Your Grave, or um, Cowboy Junkies. They've got a ton of good songs that I really love. Um, or Tori Amos. I just recently heard Cloud on Your Tongue, Cloud on My Tongue, Cloud on Your Tongue. Anyway, I pretty much love every song of hers, and there's so many of them that just really hit me. Um, uh, Lorena McKennitt, who can do no wrong in my eyes. I love her. Um, and who else was I just going to say? It was on the tip of my tongue. Tori Amos and... Oh, Sarah McLachlan. So I don't love all of her stuff. The album of hers that I love is Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. And there's a couple of songs on there that just, kill me. So I don't know. It would probably be, one of those songs that just speaks to me so much. And strangely enough, when my grandmother died, the song that really spoke to me the most was Beethoven's Ninth. I think it's his Ninth. But in the middle of it, there's this violin piece that is so, I don't know. Like when I heard it, that little piece, of just the violin, I thought to myself, that right there, that's exactly how I feel. So for some reason, I just always associate, Beethoven with my grandmother. I guess just because I was listening to it so much at the time. And because of that violin. Strangely enough, when my dad died, I couldn't listen to music. Like, I didn't listen to music for months. I think I just needed silence. But anyway. What is your favorite board game or card game? So, board game would have to be Clue. That's like my favorite all-time game. I love Clue. I think I'm going to have to move my needle minder because it keeps attacking my needle. So let's just stick that up there. Okay. And then let me figure out where my camera is. Okay. Clue is probably my favorite game. Actually, you know what? I take that back. There is a board game that I used to play all the time growing up called Dungeon that I absolutely loved. And, it was probably like the board game version of Dungeons and Dragons. Like where you would go into a room and then you'd see if there was a monster, you'd have to fight the monster. Like you'd pull a card and you'd have to fight that monster. And if you killed the monster, then you won whatever treasure was in that room. And you could win things like, some treasure was like a crystal ball where you could look to see what is in the room before you go in there to decide if it was worth it. Um, things like that. Um, it was a super fun game. So that's probably my favorite one, but Clue's probably a close second. Where was your Who was your first celebrity crush? I can't even read my own writing. Who was your first celebrity crush? Harrison Ford, hands down. Han Solo. And to prove it, I will put a photo here. So, yeah, Han Solo was my first big crush. Um, I even had a t-shirt that my best friend, remember, well, maybe not all of you remember, but if you're my age, you probably remember. You used to be able to go to the mall and you could get t-shirts made, and like you could, pick your design, or they had, letters that they would iron on for you and make you, whatever t-shirt, say whatever you wanted it to say. So my best friend at the time had a t-shirt made for me that on the front of it said just Harrison and me, and then on the back it said all alone. So yeah, I was like, the 8-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever that was walking around with a t-shirt about Harrison Ford. Anyway, so that was for sure my first celebrity crush. If you could capture a smell in a candle or perfume, what would that be? October. That's my favorite smell. There is something about the way that October smells when the air is cool and the leaves have turned. There's just nothing like the smell of October. So that is the end of the questions, and hopefully this little experiment went well. I will hopefully be back before not too long with another video. I'll have to see how this Stitch With Me turned out and see if I do this again or if I have to try to figure out a better way to do it. But hopefully it worked good enough that I can throw this up and not have to re-record something. And you guys are probably stitching while you're watching anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to keep stitching on this, see if I can get these espalier trees done. And so I have the espalier trees here. I'll just show you on this corner. So I have the espalier trees to do, and then I have all of these little flowers in here to do, which are a little bit fiddly. And then once I get that done and I get my eyelets done in this hedge, then it's just beading. Oh, and I do have to go back in and do my satin stitching in this railing here because I've left that off. So I have to do satin stitching, eyelets, flowers, and espalier trees, and then beading this whole flippin' thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. So thanks, Emily, for the tag, and hopefully my answers were not too terribly lengthy. I'm gonna go maybe watch some Flosstube and stitch a little bit more on this. All right, talk to you later, guys.